Hey, it's Matt here from Guitar Bliss, and in today's lesson I'm going to be teaching you how to read guitar tabs. Alright, so how to read the guitar tabs. Each line represents an open string, and since I'm using a 6-string guitar, there's going to be 6 lines on the tab. So the bottom line is going to be low E, and then the next line is A, D, G, B, and then high E. Tabs use a number system to represent each note and where to play it on the fretboard. So for example, let's play the low E and let's play 0. So if you see a 0, that means play the open string. So like on the low E, if it says 0, play the open string. So how it works is 0, and then the first fret would be 1, second fret 2, 3, 4, 5, so on and so forth. So like say if you jump up to like say the D string, same thing. 0 would be open D, and then first fret would be number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all the way up. Now the tabs run from left to right, so if you see the numbers running left to right, that means you play each note right after each other. So let's say the numbers are right on top of each other. For example, like say 5 on the A string and 7 on the D. So that means you would play them both at the same time, actually. So if the numbers are stacked on top of each other, you have to play them at the same time. But if they're moving from left to right, like so 5, 6, 7, 8, if they're all from left to right, you'd play 5, 6, 7, 8 on the A string. Now how tabs do the rhythm, sometimes there's, if you're using Power Tab Editor or Guitar Demo, sometimes these are programs that actually play the tabs out for you, and sometimes they'll actually have the rhythm notation on like how the rhythm is going to be for the song. Most of the time when you're just looking for tabs, there's really, sometimes they try to put the rhythm in there, like the way that they space out the tabs, but most of the time you have to kind of figure out the rhythm by listening to the song yourself. Like for example, sometimes they'll use dotted lines to represent tabs. It's either a straight line or a dotted line, and on the dotted lines, sometimes they'll have the tabs close together, so that means you'll be playing them faster, or sometimes they're spaced apart, so you might have to play and rest, play a note, let it ring. And it doesn't really say for sure, like I said, it's not regular music where you actually know exactly how many beats to count for each note, and it doesn't tell you exactly. So most of the time, if you either have to play along and figure out the rhythm yourself, or if you're using like Power Tab Editor or Power Tab Editor or another program that plays out the tabs, they usually have the rhythm notations on top, so you can see how to actually play the beat. But that's for another video. So how we would play chords, how chords are represented on tabs. Usually the chord is actually listed on the top, like say we're playing C major. Usually it'll say C on the top, and then it'll tell you how to play. And like I said earlier, if the numbers are stacked on top of each other, that means you play them all at the same time, and that usually represents a chord. So like say for like C major, it'll usually say, like say for C major, it'll say 3 on the A, 2 on the D, 0 on the G, 1 on the B string, and then 0 on the high E. So they'll be all stacked up on top of each other, and sometimes it'll say C on top, but other times it won't. It really depends on where you get your tabs and who wrote them out. But so you would just play the C chord, or if it's G, it'll be 3 on the low E, 2 on the A string, 0 on the D, 0 on the G, 0 on the B string, and then 3 on the high E, and they'll be all stacked up, like I said, and you just play the chord. Now sometimes if you're playing a chord and it has a X on one of the strings, like you see an X, that means you don't play that note. You put your finger, whatever chord it is, you put your finger and you mute that note. You don't let it ring out. So like say we're playing this chord, 3 on the A, 2 on the D, then there's going to be an X on the G, and then 3 on the B, and then 3 on the E. So instead of letting that 0 on the G ring out, you would put your index finger just right next to it, so you get a scratch. You don't let it ring out. So if you see X's, that means don't actually play that string if it's within a chord. Now there are a lot of other, I'm just getting into the basics of how to read tabs. There's a lot of other notations when you get further in your playing. Like I just mentioned the X is there for muting, but like if you want to do a palm mute, there'll be a notation for that. If you want to do a slide, there'll be so slides, there'll be notations for that, and then hammer on, pull off, harmonics, pinch harmonics, and I mean it bends. There's all sorts of notations for each when you start to get like down the road and you're doing different things with the guitar. But for right now, you just learn the basics. You know, once you learn how to bend a string, you'll know what you'll learn that notation. And once you learn hammer on, pull off, and everything else, you'll learn those notations as you go on. But for right now, just learn the basics on how it actually works. Like you said, the tabs use a number system to represent the note and where you have to play the note on the fret. In each individual, these are actually called frets if you didn't know. Like these two metal bars, the space in between these two metal bars is actually a fret. So, you know, then you count, like I said, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then on my guitar, they actually put dots periodically, like here, so you know, here's the 12th fret automatically, here's the 9th, 7th, 5th, 3. So it's very simplified using the numbers. As long as you can count, you can read tabs for the most part. Like I said, they don't tell you what the notes are. You have to figure that out yourself. If you want to know, like say 4 on the G string is actually a B note, it's not going to tell you that. Usually the most you get is them telling you what the chord is on top. But even then, sometimes you don't even know what chord it is, you just know the numbers. So the downside to tabs, compared to like reading music, you usually have to figure out exactly how the rhythm goes of the song. You get really good at listening to the rhythm by ear and figuring it out, instead of like on like regular music, it's kind of all handed to you. You can just count the rhythm. The rhythm will tell you exactly how to play the rhythm, and it'll be kind of spoon-fed to you, so you can, where the tabs, you have to figure it out and listen to it yourself, where sheet music, it's kind of spoon-fed to you and tells you exactly how long to hold each note out for, and how long to play them, and how fast to play, and all that stuff. Where tabs, you have to listen, most of the time you have to listen to the song and figure it out by your ear, which is really good practice, and honestly, I think it made me a much better musician than only reading music and having the rhythm spelled out for me, instead of me having to listen to it and figure it out myself. So there's pros and cons to it.
Thank you for watching today's video. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below.